They come round onto the start-finish straight, but the lights on the gantry won't go from red to green until all 32 cars. Well, they did snap when we had maybe just a dozen of the cars with view of the lights, and it looks like a very good start from Dan Harper. Oh, what magical shots as the light falls here, but Ben Green got his Ferrari just across, and the car in about 6th place. That might have even been Dries Van Tor, ran a little wide, but they've all got through. This is the wonderful sweep through Estoril and then through the kink and all the way up the slope to the Adelaide hairpin at the top of the hill. Neat and tidy.
It looks like, I'm just crossing my fingers, but it looks like most people have managed to get through the opening turns cleanly. I'm just looking at one of the Button VDS Mercedes. I don't know whether the front splitter on that might have been damaged slightly. I thought I saw it wandering around. But Dries Van Tor trying to get up ahead of the Porsche up into 3rd place down at Adelaide hairpin.
Well, he gained 3 positions, 6th to 3rd, but a real challenge from the first of the 2 Rutronic cars with Sven Muller pushing very hard. But the first 2 in grid order, but then Dries Van Tor has nailed down that 3rd place. No wonder he's in the lead of the championship.
Yeah, and also coming down to this is Nürburgring, this quick chicane right left. He was going right left, trying to get that temperature raised as quickly as possible into the 4 Pirelli tyres, so that when he gets on the brakes or has to make a commitment in one of these 17 turns, he knows the balance and the grip of the car will be with him.
It's Ben Green from Dan Harper, Dries Van Tor, Sven Muller, Christopher Haase, Sandy Mitchell, Luca Engstler. So the driver who lost out actually was Dennis Marshall, fell back from 5th to 8th, but really neat and tidy. And the challenge there for 3rd place.
Yeah, just looking, Sven Muller and the Porsche have held a much tighter line in through Grand Curb, and look at contact, Sandy Mitchell getting robbed, pushed slightly as Dennis Marshall and the 2nd Rotronic Porsche manages to box in the Lamborghini. But is this an attempt on an overtake? But it's the wrong part of the racetrack for Dan Harper, and still Dries Van Tor. But Sven Muller in the Porsche, side by side, 3 into Adelaide, does not go.
Well, already Luca Engstler moved up a position, but then Dylan Pereira for Tracer Atepta Racing gained 2 positions up at Adelaide. And I tell you what, when you're watching one of your rivals and someone steams up the inside of the pair of you, there's not too much you can do.
So there's a manoeuvre. That's one of the Boots and VDS coming. Oh, contact, and the Aston Martin sort of almost synchronized spins, but that clearly was a tag from the. Was that?
It was Maxi Goertz who started way down at the back of the field, unexpectedly poor qualifying session, and being tagged by number 21, which is David Pittard, trying to make up ground through the final corner onto the start-finish straight, but it took 2 to tango, and tango wasn't what they wanted to do.
Just coming into Adelaide, just how close was Dries Van Tor to the rear of Ben Green in the lead Ferrari? That gap, as they came across start-finish line, was fractions over half a second. And as they came into Adelaide, it looked as if it was less. Just a visual eyeball on it looked as if it was probably under that half second. So again, there's a resurgence, a charge. Look how close the BMW can catch to the tail of the Ferrari.
Now let's take a look. Moves down towards the back of the field. And it's been a busy race. These are the last 3 cars in the race. The Mercedes in front of that has already had a spin. That's Maxi Goertz, being spun by the number 21 Aston Martin, which is now at the back of the field. And in between them is Sean Udsworth, the racer from Singapore, in his Ferrari going, just leave me alone, guys. Just race on another bit of time.
Yeah, well, that was actually, we didn't catch it at the time, but Max Goertz did get past Sean Udsworth. So that was a positional change from 31st to 30th. So 93, a 5-second time penalty to be served at the pit stop for, again, essentially track limits.
Yeah, that's
change,
a move for the
race,
lead of the race.
change.
Ben Green has just been attacked by Dries Van Tor. I think there might have been a body rub, but looking to maybe benefit from that is Dan Harper trying to make it 3 abreast. This is fantastic racing. And Ben Green, was he caught napping? Was it opportunity? He's not prepared to give it up. He's cut the corner there. The stewards will look at that. Dries Van Tor going down through the Nürburgring and now down to 180 turn. He's on the outside. So he got into the lead, back into 2nd. Dan Harper thinks he has a bit of the action. And in 4th place, Sven Muller's saying, this could come to me. I'm joining this.
If I was WRT, I'd be rushing straight to the steward to say that was a pass taken by the Ferrari off the racetrack. And now you can see he either given the place back or it was no real option. So Dries Van Tor has got the lead. And Dan Harper up the inside. Oh, opportunistic bounce over the curb, hits the Ferrari, punches the Ferrari off the road. That'll be looked at likewise, because that was an aggressive move by Harper. Went across the inside of and there's been damage done to the Ferrari, or is it just he's just gone through the gravel and his tyres have got clogged up with the dust and detritus that you get on the gravel traps. So an aggressive move from Dan Harper.
Well, it really was. He thought he had half a chance, and Chateau d'Eau became Chateau Oh My Dear, and off he went. But that was a great move. That half lap, the overtaking we had between the first 3 positions, it was so tight, so close. We had the corner cut at Nürburgring by Ben Green. That I'm sure will be looked at. But Dries van Toor's come out of it smiling, and Ben Green quite the reverse, because by the time he'd rejoined, he was down in about 12th place. Well, let's take a look at the replay of what happened up at Chateau d'Eau.
A legitimate move down the inside from the BMW, gets alongside. Now this is where Ben Green decides, I'm not going to give up my opportunity, my lead. Side by side coming down through the little curve before you get to the Nürburgring. And then the BMW technically, or in fact was ahead. You see both cars, but particularly the Ferrari, cut across the inside. And at that point, strictly speaking, I think Ben Green should have given back that position to Dries van Toor. And this is then where it all began to kick off. Now, whether he gave it up voluntarily, because we saw coming up into Imola, and then watch what happens on the exit of Imola, coming up into the entry into Chateau d'Eau. And Dan Harper makes a very move. There it goes down the inside, bumps over the curb, slams sideways into the Ferrari. Ben Green's got no options or choices. The car, it's like a snooker ball, Bosch. So the pit lane is now open. It's been open for almost a minute.
But when will Dries van Toor come in? We had a shot just moments ago of his teammate Charles Weerts, ready, helmeted, suited up, waiting.
Well, there he is at the
pit, and it's now. Here is the answer to the question. Dan Harper, of course, continues. We knew he'd do that. He's going to stay out as long as he can before handing over his Century BMW to Darren Lung. We saw Darren still not with his suit on.
And Sven Muller, who was running in 4th place more or less since the lights went out, he's likewise come into the pit. He'll hand over to Patrick Niederhauser. And here we see this is the pit stop, which will dictate, I believe, who or which driver team pairing will end up standing on the victor's podium.
Wow, amazing RT shot there. Dan Harper hasn't finished with this race yet, but he will have to fairly soon when the pit window closes. But putting the Century Motorsport BMW high over the curve, he just shows your fellow Ulsterman, John, there, he's not taking any prisoners in this race. No. But the lead battle for those that have pitted is very, very tight indeed. Charles Weerts protects the inside line, saying, Christopher Niederhauser, if you're going to get past me in your Rutronic Porsche coming through the final corner, you've got to do it right here, right now. And he's jolly well having a look down into the inside.
Yeah, it's his brother Patrick who's driving, not Christopher Niederhauser. Anyway, he's gone through. He's gone through. What a great pass going into Grand Cab and now into Estoril, and that was a well-executed move. Began on the run down into Virage du Lycée, and now the Porsche, just simply because it's lapping quicker than Charles Weerts is doing in what was the 32 lead BMW. But again, look, catching, going through the curve at Gov. He's going to have a look down the inside. Niederhauser goes to the right to protect the inside entry, but watch for the switchback from Charles Weerts. Porsche will run slightly wider on the exit, the tighter exit for the BMW. But Niederhauser's just done enough to consolidate that advantage.
And here is the race leader at the moment, but one who owes us a pit stop. He'll be diving in, and Dylan Pereira will come in as well to hand over to their respective teammates. Meanwhile, somewhere around the circuit, we have a new race leader. Patrick Niederhauser ahead of Charles Weerts, but where will this car come out? Has Dan Harper built enough of a lead for Darren Lung, who's taking over the Century Motorsport BMW, to get back out in front of them? He could have done.
Here is the race-leading Porsche, or effectively the race-leading Porsche, and it seems as if Patrick Niederhauser, there the BMW is rolling. So this is what has been the lead bronze car, but here are the two race leaders in effect. The Porsche leading the BMW, and Darren Lung comes down the pit lane at 50 kilometres per hour.
Yeah, now. Only now. I thought Dan Harper would have built a big enough advantage for him to be just ahead. Just want to point out, Constantine, the car that was leading the race, was knocked out of the race in Ben Green's hand. He's now up to 5th place. His next target, but it's 11 seconds up the track, is his own teammates. Yes. Traffic can often be an issue, and particularly with proper darkness. It fell here about 15 minutes ago, not long after the drivers who were doing the second part of the race got on board. It could still be a factor. We can see through the gloom there as some of the front runners are giving chase, but it's Patrick Niederhauser, best part of 2 seconds clear now, but the gap between second and third is coming down because Maro Engel just 1 second on the nose down behind Charles Weerts. Charles nearly 2 seconds down on the race leader, so if there's any place change, John, in the top 3 positions, it's going to be second and third. This is the battle, looking back from second place, Charles Weerts and Maro Engel almost on his boot.
And they're about to go on. There's 30 seconds of the race remaining, so they're up at the highest part of the circuit. And was that a move around them? I couldn't quite cut away, but to this drone shot, fireworks are already firing, so counting down 20 seconds. Where are the lead 2 cars? Are they coming into now? They're just, I think, going to get this across the line. 14, 13, No, they're not. I think it could be the final lap.
Well, we're looking at the bronze battle, and I've just got news in that 97, that's second in class, but to assume the lead, unless Rob Collard goes past Dustin Blackner's car, under investigation for unsafe release in the pit lane. Remember, that went right across the nose of the 71 Ferrari when it came in. So many twists and turns, and in this battle, you've suddenly got a Boots and VDS Mercedes getting in to enjoy the fun, but maybe break up the battle. That's the battle. Rob Collard has moved ahead of Dustin Blackner, and that will be taking the lead in the bronze class. It's not the lead on the track.
He's Rob Collard's run wide in Grand Cours, and he's lost he gained the lead in Estoril, but the Porsche just got a better entry. Rob Collard ran slightly wide, and it's much dirtier on the outside of the circuit, so big washout from the front of the Lamborghini.
No one's told Rob Collard, and he can't take the risk of assuming that. But here we have the other Rutronic Porsche coming down, a 2-second advantage through the first part of the final corner, through the second part, onto the start-finish straight. First win of the year for Rutronic Racing with their Porsche. Sven Muller started it, Patrick Niederhauser finished it. They will be delighted with that. And I think Charles Wirtz has hung on to second place just by 0.3 of a second from Maro Engel. What a great fight back. So the top cars in the championship finished second and third position for Charles Wirtz and Dries van Tor. Second just extends their margin to a marginally more comfortable 5.5 points. It's been tight. It's been a real battle. Thierry Vermeulen, brilliant run for Emil Frey Racing, leading home. And now this is gold. This is fighting right the way to the finish. Lorenzo Ferrari, can he hang on in the Audi 88? Yes, just ahead of Simon Gachet. 6th and 7th position, but first and second in the gold class. As close as you like. The margin, 0.3 of a second on the end. Well, let's take a look. Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser, victory by 2.6 seconds at the end of the race. Dries van Tor came here as a championship leader, and second place shared with Charles Wirtz keeps them out front. But what a charge from 11th from Lucas Aura and Maro Engel up to third place overall. Jacko Maltoe and Thierry Vermeulen, fourth for Emil Frey Racing, and Ben Green and Constable Apolainen, teammates, in fifth. And then came the car that won the gold class by the smallest of margins. Lorenzo Petresi and Lorenzo Ferrari finishing it just ahead of Simon Gachet. Silver class victory to Ezekiel Perez-Companc and young Dutch racer Tom Callender. Benjamin Goethe and Tom Gamble pocketed some points for McLaren in 9th overall. Simon Reich for East Talent Racing bringing it home in 10th.